Hello, so this is for the subject risk management, and the topic for this video is risk management documentation. Okay, so essentially ang magkakasama na topic is yung chapter 7, 8, and 9 from our online resource material. So this would be about record keeping ng risk management. Okay, so in chapter 7 we had risk management policy. So in this one we'll have risk management documentation. Okay, so review muna ng record of risk management activities. So in the previous video, we've had itong mga records na to. Risk management administration, risk response and improvement plans, event reports and recommendations, risk performance and certification reports. So kumbaga ito yung mga records that the company or a business or organization would have to keep track of their risk management activities. So in the previous video, we've had yung mga particulars under these four main activities. Okay, so primary purpose of risk guidelines is to help managers understand the risk management framework of the organization. So again, yung risk management framework ay yung tatlo: RASP, risk architecture, strategy, and protocols. Okay. And then managers must pay appropriate attention to risk implications when making decisions. Okay, so when they are trying to decide about something, syempre one of their considerations is yung risk implications. Ano ba yung mga risk exposures sa business, and then how they're going to counter that before they make a decision. Okay. It is not the intention that the keeping of risk management records should become overly bureaucratic or burdensome. Okay? Kailangan hindi siya maging hindrance sa operations ng business, bagamat kumbaga, on the other hand, kailangan niya is maging, tawag dito, contributory pa nga siya dapat in the operations of the business, magkaroon ng improvements in the activities in the operations, because of the risk management initiatives ng company. So yung adequate records, kumbaga iniisip nila additional workload siya kasi, it's either paperwork or creation of reports kasi. Pero, kumbaga, essential naman siya kasi. Okay? Kasi, later on, if you want to check how the company is doing or they're dealing with a situation already na merong risk. So, meron silang mabubuklat for reference na, okay, this is how they dealt with it previously, but, it didn't end well or it's still lacking. So, we can further improve it by adding more controls or, additional activities. Okay? So, kailangan yung records available siya for decision making. Okay? That's another main point on why they have to keep records. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya, let's say walang records, di ba? The same situation happened again. Tapos yung mga previously na taong nag-handle nun, let's say nag-retire na or wala na sa company. So yung mga panibagong tao na magdi-deal with a similar situation, di ba? They probably won't know what they're going to do. Okay? Pero kung yun ay documented, di ba? Either naka-embed na sa policy or sa records ng company, so they could, check na, okay, this is what they did previously and it turned up well naman, naging maayos naman yung results, then let's just do the same or can improve it by changing a few things or ganyan. Okay, so ayun, yung significance on why we keep records din naman. Okay, so ito, meron pa siyang summary. Benefits to be gained from implementing records management. So, itong records management, key driver in increasing organizational efficiency. Kasi nga, yung natutunan nyo na previously, di ba, kumbaga parang learning curve din siya. Since you've already experienced it before, the second, yung mga next times na ma-encounter nyo ulit siya, alam nyo na kung ano yung gagawin nyo. Okay. So, and dahil alam nyo na yung gagawin nyo, it improves the efficiency or it contributes to the efficiency of the organization. Offer significant business benefits. Okay. Mga benefits na yan, reduces the time spent by staff looking for information. Okay? So, they can just, mas maganda kung database, tapos computerized, tapos merong mga keywords, para isa-search na lang, isa-search na lang nila, once they type the keyword in the computer, lalabas, yung particular situation, similar situation. So, yung mas maganda. Facilitates the effective sharing of information, reduces unnecessary duplication of information, unless two separate incidences yon. Okay, identifies how long records need to be kept, let's say 10 years ba, 20 years, or from the beginning of time. Optimizes the legal admissibility of records to defend malicious litigation. Kasi naman litigation sometimes, anong tawag doon? Yung, kumbaga yung before ma-expire, or minsan kahit decades na yung nakalipas, you can still be sued for, something. I forgot the word, may term yun eh. Na so long as within the particular period, pwede ka pa rin i-sue. So, kailangan ay yung records mo, nakakip lang siya. Okay? Para pag na-sue ka or kinasuhan ka, edi you have the evidences to defend yourself. Okay? Supports risk management and business continuity planning. Ayan. Records management improves control over information assets, frees up staff time and other resources, helps protect individuals and organizations from various risks. Okay? Kami noon, in one of the employers that I had before, naka-database siya. Tapos, in our free time, we're free time yan. Hindi siya free time. Kasi normally what we do is we go on to the database, tapos we check yung mga issued memorandums, especially yung, karaniwan kasi yung mga issued memorandums that are yung mga scams or particular situations and how to deal with it. May mga ganun yan. And then you have, mga announcement na itong mga records na to, checks, booklets ay nawawala. So, in case na may mag-present sa office or sa branch, hindi dapat siya tatanggapin. Kasi lost. Kumbaga, declared as lost na eh. So, parang parang check stop. Tawag doon. Yung pag nag-issue ka ng check tapos nanakaw siya, di ba pwede mong i-order si bank na wag i-honor yung particular check na yon. Okay? Yung kaso, ayun, that's one of the risks na sa bangko. Meron nang naka-announce na yung particular check na yon is nanakaw, tapos merong teller pa rin na, let's say, na in cash yung particular check na yon. Adi, kumbaga, that's one risk. Bakit mo pa siya i-in cash? Na-declare na nga siya na, tawag dito, nanakaw. Okay? So, ayun, meron pa rin risk na may teller na mag-in cash na. But, in a way, on the part naman ng tellers, minsan kasi, unless merong, specific, let's say, software na pag in-scan mo yung check is, di ba, lalabas na agad na, okay, meron siyang instruction to stop payment. Ayun, stop payment order pala. I remember the term now. Ayun. Tapos, pero kung kung walang mga ganyang controls in place, di ba, mahirapan si teller na, tawag dito, alalahanin or i-remember lahat ng check na merong ganon, stop payment orders, di ba? So, ayan. I'm sure they do have a particular, let's say, scanning scanning mechanics that would help the tellers to deal with that particular situation. Anyway, just an example. Okay, risk response and improvement plans. The only reason for undertaking a risk assessment is so that current controls can be validated. Okay, so you have the risk, existing risk, and then you have, kumbaga, itatapat mo lang naman siya dun sa existing controls ng company. And if, you also have to check din naman if those controls are enough to deal with those risks. Tapos, ayan, if merong lacking, edi improvements of the controls. Risk register means of recording information on current controls and details of intended additional controls. Okay, so tandaan nyo to, yung risk register. Yung pinakang name talaga ng document. Considered to be the risk action plan for a unit or the organization as a whole. Okay, kailangan siya ay dynamic, ginagamit dapat, hindi yung magiging static document lang siya. Ito yung fear ng ibang mga tao. Why ka pa magkakaroon ng risk management kung hindi mo naman siya, gagamitin or implement ng maayos? So, we have to make sure kapag mayroong risk management dun sa company, ginagamit, okay, nagagamit, okay, para may usage. As well as risk response plans. Ito naman, about the responsibility for individual controls. Okay, hindi naman mananagot. Sino ang dapat mag-implement ng particular controls? For kunwari, sa HR department, have to ensure na, let's say, yung bawat empleyado nakakaltasan ng mandatory contributions, saka ng withholding taxes, tapos yung mga withheld contributions na yan, nai-remit na maayos sa SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, BIR, ganyan. Okay? So, sino yung responsible doon? So, kailangan naka-specify din. Tapos, yung mga deadline din, responsibility nga, ganyan. Tapos, kung kailangan ng improved controls, let's say, instead of submitting them on the deadline, let's say mga 2 days or 3 days before the deadline, di ba? Para in case na, kung meron ka pang leeway na maghabol in case lang na ma-miss mo yung deadline. Risk register, location for recording details of significant threats. Ayan. Nakalagay din sa risk register yung mga priority risk ng company. Okay, kaya ang significant threats. Tapos, detailed analysis of risk improvement plans. Ito nga, yung parang risk response na rin siya, risk improvement. Ayan, kasama din siya doon. And then yung capital expenditure or resources na kailangan to implement the risk response, kasama din siya dun sa plan. Okay? Tapos you have risk register for projects. So let's say you're trying to enter into a new venture or you're planning to create a new branch for the company. So ayan, kailangan meron ka ding risk register for that na in a way basehan when making your decision for that particular project. Okay? So mga considerations doon, construction and software projects, ayan. Actions to be taken to minimize the uncertainty should be a dynamic one, and further action should be planned, right? Event reports and recommendations, kasama pa rin siya dun sa documentations natin. Pero kumbaga, in a way, dun sa documentation, medyo separate naman sila, Separate itong apat na ito. Risk Management Administration, Risk Response and Improvements, Event Reports and Recommendations, Risk Performance and Certification Reports. Okay? So, dito sa event reports, kumbaga ito yung mga incidents na nangyari na, may particular situation, ano yung mga kaganapan doon, ano yung mga particular risk, ano yung impact, okay, magkano yung kinakailangan na i-out ng company to deal with it, mga ganyan. So, details of the events, managing the consequences, how did you deal with it, incident investigations, kung kailangang may imbestigahan pa, analysis of the performance of business operations, may effect ba yan sa operations, or, separate incident ba siya. Tapos ay risk improvement recommendations para hindi na siya maulit. Okay? And then, yung risk management documentation, yan na nga yun. Okay? Kailangan siya ay naka-indicate dyan. Tapos kung may mga improvements, address significant control weaknesses. Normally, kaya naman nagkakaroon ng improvements kasi merong mga weaknesses pa. Okay? Ang company. Ayan, evaluation of risk performance is an important role for internal audit. Okay, kumbaga, itong internal audit naman, regular din naman silang nag-check ng mga controls kung effective pa ba or hindi. And yung findings nila, kailangan syempre documented din. And ginagamit din ng company to make recommendations or improvement sa controls. Okay? Ayan. Ito for specific specialization, clinical risk management, identify the appropriate risk mitigation actions have been put in place, provide records of any clinical mishaps that occur. Okay? Kasi ito yung particular risk nila. Okay? Meron mga, nangyayari, let's say sa surgery room, operating room, na minsan, may mga, let's say may naiiwan, ang tawag doon, yung gasa sa loob ng katawan ng tao, or let's say ay after surgery, namatay din naman yung pasyente, or maraming cases na nangyayari. But kumbaga nagkakaroon kasi ng claims na, let's say, injury or negligence on the part ng mga medical practitioners natin. But in that sense, one of the things that they do, kaya nga, normally, meron silang records of every, surgery. Hindi lang para dito, protektahan yung kanilang sarili, but sometimes ginagamit din nila for, further study, ano yung pwede nilang i-improve them for the particular situation. But in a way, in relation to risk management, syempre, yun nga, to protect themselves, to defend themselves, to submit it as possible evidence in case nga na sila ay kasuhan, na sila ay nagpabaya, or hindi maayos yung kanilang pagkaka-deliver ng service or pag-conduct ng operation or whatnot. Okay? So, ayun. Example lang naman. Risk performance and certification reports. Ayan. Risk performance and certification reports, ang inclusions nito, consideration and analysis of preliminary reports of the results of operations. Kasama na dyan yung formal declarations and certified reports to stakeholders. Okay? Tapos, on the part naman ng external auditor, dito sa atin sa Pinas, kapag corporation ka, di ba, under ka ng SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, required, merong mga reportorial requirements like the audited financial statements nga. And for you to have the audited financial statements, sorry, you need an external auditor na mag-check ng inyong financial statements. And aside from aside from affirming the completeness or correctness of the financial statements, check din nila yung effectiveness of the control activities. Ayan. Or yung controls in place to make sure nga na complete and correct yung laman ng financial statements. Okay, so normally, for the risk performance certification reports, kasama doon yung details ng risk performance, portfolio of risk, okay, parang collection, ano yung iba't ibang types of risk na involved. Tapos yung, in a way, kailangan naka-document din yung limit of the risk appetite or risk capacity of the organization. Okay? Hazard tolerance, for example, sa transport company, yung mga bus companies, trucking businesses, and we'll need to monitor the number of motor vehicle accidents and the breakdown frequencies related to the vehicles run by the company. Okay, this is one way that they are monitoring yung kanilang mga risk. In a way, parang risk performance na din siya. Kumbaga yung frequency and likelihood. Okay. Designing a risk register. Ayan. Again, ang ayaw nilang mangyari sa risk register, yung maging static record siya, yung hindi nagagamit after when is, andyan lang, nakatambak, hindi naman binubuklat, hindi ginagamit. Okay, so they want the risk register to be used in a dynamic way. So, kumbaga, merong present situation, they would need to, hindi naman consult, pero parang use as a reference yung mga previous documentations, finding similar situations, tapos, syempre, compare. And then, let's see if yung ginawa nila back then is still applicable to the current situation or if there are improvements na pwedeng gawin. Okay? So, yung risk register, document used for recording risk management process for identified risk. Tapos, ginagamit din to facilitate ownership and management of each risk. Results of the risk assessment related to the process, operation, location, business unit, or project under consideration. And of course, part siya ng decision-making process. Okay? So, yung purpose niya, agreed record of the significant risks that have been identified. Parang reference, in case of future incidents is, meron ka ng pagbabasehan. Control activities, additional actions that are proposed. Okay, of course, for improvement. Outline of the basic format of a risk register. Ito ang hitsura niya. Actually, yung final paper for my students, gawin natin ganito na lang yung hitsura din. So, you have your risk description. Of course, siyempre, separate natin into departments or aspects of the business. You have your risk description, current level of risk, yung likelihood, magnitude, overall rating, Tapos yung controls in place, okay? How does the company deal with the risk na na-describe dito? Ayan. So, ito yung mga controls. Yan yung example ng risk register, okay? Kumbaga, pag tinignan mo yan, okay, ito yung situation, ito yung gagawin natin. Ayan, di ba? Madali na. Tapos, ito naman, risk register for a sports club. Different presentation siya. Again, yung presentation naman, it would depende naman kung ano yung nakasanayan ng company or saan sila mas comfortable, di ba? Ayan, itong sa kanya, tawag dito, segregate into the different types of risk, financial risk, infrastructure, reputational, ganyan. Tapos, nakalagay din naman yung existing control measures, current level, and further actions planned, if any. Tapos, owner, sino yung person responsible for this. Ayan. Risk register for a hospital. Ayan, parang kagaya lang din ng kanina. But, instead of the risk controls, ang nilagay niya dito ay risk rating. Okay? Ayan. Pero ito, I think this one is for immediate implementation. Parang sa priority. Risk priority, i-deal with na agad natin. Tapos, of course, siguro, can put another column here for the risk controls. Right? Ayan. Karaniwan, itong risk registers ay document held on a computer, held on databases, para mas madali siyang i-access. Okay? Using a risk register, ayan, kailangan ay dynamic at nagagamit, well-constructed in such that pag nakita siya nung, new user, it's madali siyang maintindihan. Okay? Risk action plan, record of critical controls, details of any additional controls that need to be introduced. Tapos, kailangan naka-state din doon kung sino yung responsible for those particular risks. Medyo paulit-ulit yung sinasabi natin. But again, that's for the purpose of mas matandaan natin. Risk management information system. So, if they have a particular database, and so, pwedeng dito na nila ilagay intranet of the organization, parang different departments, they can access it. And for them to help understand yung risk and then easy communication na rin. Diba? Hindi yung pupunta ka pa sa ibang department, manghihingi ka ng incident reports. Medyo, magiging time-consuming siya, inefficient. So, mas maganda may database na talaga. So, and tapos, described in precise terms, accurately recorded, described in sufficient detail for the controls to be auditable. Tapos, dynamic, yan, ginagamit. Essentially, sabi lang naman nila, ginagamit, okay? When another incident occurs, ginagamit pa rin. Support business decisions. Risk assessment of the strategy should be attached to the proposal. Ito naman in cases of, new projects. Ayan, kailangan ay meron ding risk assessment. Risk of undertaking the strategy and analysis of the risk associated with not undertaking the proposed strategy. So, kumbaga dito, when dealing with new projects, syempre, kailangan mo rin i-state ano yung risk kapag tumuloy tayo dito and ano rin yung risk to the company kapag hindi tayo tumuloy dito. Okay? Ito yung project risk register. Ito naman yung i-deal with pa lang ng company. Hindi pa siya existing pero, possible. Probable na makaharap ng company kapag tinanggap nila yung isang project or they go ahead with a particular project. Okay? So, same lang naman halos yung itsura niya. You have the risk description, level of risk, likelihood, magnitude, overall rating. Tapos ito naman, action to be taken pa lang. Parang, how are you going to minimize the particular risk? Just in case na ituloy mo yung project na yan. Ano yung normal na, normal na naging question. Ito yun. Project management arrangements and able to deliver the project. So, about delivery. Ito naman about staff. Pag tumuloy tayo dyan, sino ang itataog natin dyan? Sino magiging responsible for that? And then resources. Do we need to disburse money for that? Project not coordinated with other developments in the organization. Is this part of our development plan or is this outside of it? Okay, ganyan. So, yung risk register, naka-attach siya sa business plan. Okay, business plan to kasi this is a new project. This is in case of a new project. So, kailangan may naka-attach din na risk register. Record of the risk that could impact the achievement of the business plan. So, ito yung itsura naman ng risk register kapag siya yung attachment to business plan. So, you have your circumstance, assessment and controls, level of risk, and then action and assurance. Ano yung pwedeng gawin? Okay. Example, sports club, di ba? Success on the pitch, legal compliance, more like workers' employment, dole. Supply of ethical goods at a fair price, and tapos, level of control, responsibility for managing the brand, additional controls kapag kailangan ng improvements. Implementation of the controls can be fully audited, kaya kailangan ay, in a way, medyo detailed siya, especially yung actions or procedures. Naka-detailed siya kung ano talaga yung step-by-step na gagawin. And of course, sino yung tao na responsible for that. Okay? And then yung board or in top management, normally they need to at least be informed of it on a quarterly basis. Or more frequently kung, may mga significant changes na nagaganap. Alright? Okay, so that's it for Chapter 8, Risk, Forgot already. Risk Management Documentation. Tama ba? Yes, Risk Management Documentation. Okay, so that's it for this one. Thanks and bye.